What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review starring Nicolas Cage in a Western action film by the name of Prisoners of the Ghostland, which actually premiered earlier this year at Sundance. Got a chance to recently check it out. I'm really excited to share my thoughts with you all and let you know if it's worth checking out either in theaters or on VOD this Friday, September 17th, all in this spoiler-free review. But before we break it all down, do me a favor and check me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you all can get the alert from when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this spoiler-free review, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate the support. And in those comments, for all my Nicolas Cage fans out there, let's talk about this new film. Let me know if you were excited for it, but more importantly, once you've seen this crazy ass movie, we gotta talk about it. Let me know your thoughts on the performances, the story, the direction, the allegories, the themes, the pros, the cons, everything in between, and more importantly, what's your favorite Nicolas Cage film? Let me know that in the comments. Let's discuss it in the comment section. So going into this film, I had heard out of Sundance this year, a lot of my friends that seen it said that this is Nick Cage at his finest in regards to diving more into like the Mandy type of performances versus like the Pig performance, where it's like a nuanced performance, but like the bonkers, crazy, banana shit, crazy type of Nick Cage stuff. This is for you. So I was excited for it. I like Nicolas Cage a lot. Sofia Boutella, she is like a star on the rise. I've been saying that for years, whether it was in The Kingsman, Star Trek Beyond, Atomic Blonde. I just feel like she's right there, but just hasn't, the Mummy kind of pushed her down a little bit. Nonetheless, I was excited to see her and excited to see what samurais and westerns and action and Nick Cage looks like. So here we are starting off with my positives. First and foremost, this was a personal goal of mine to see every Nicolas Cage film that released in 2021. And ladies and gentlemen, I did it. I have accomplished the trifecta: Willy's Wonderland, Pig, and now this. And I can say this about Nicolas Cage. And this is his whole career. He's been doing this. But this man, I don't think he can say no. I don't think he can say no to any script. I think if you said that there's a script about how to make bread and how bread were made by aliens and the aliens were made by, you know, Teletubbies and the Teletubbies were created by coins, then, you know, Nicolas Cage will play into that script because he just wants to flex that acting muscle. He wants to shoot in the gym as an athlete would. He wants to go on the field and run track. He just wants to make movies regardless of if it has a logical script or not. So Nicolas Cage, how do I describe this film? He plays our main character by the name of the hero, and our hero goes on a hero's journey because he has a tragic past, and he's given this task by the governor of this samurai town to find his daughter who's lost her ways and has went to this supernatural universe called the Ghostland. So we're seeing him on this journey to discover Sofia Boutella's character, and on his journey, he's given choices. He's given decisions that he has to make. He has to interact with the rat man. He has these things on his body where if he doesn't go through the mission, he can explode at any minute. So just imagine how Nicolas Cage plays into that, and him interacting with different characters like the ghost town prisoners and the way that their methods of their ways, and him trying to discover himself within the method of the ways. And that's one thing I do take away from this film too, is this: there is an interesting story about imprisonment and how our characters have to break out of their imprisonment and free themselves. And watch Nicolas Cage attempting to free his tragic past was something to see, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a Nicolas Cage fan, I mean a diehard Nicolas Cage fan, you will enjoy his performance as a hero. I thought he was pretty solid, but he didn't steal the show for me. Those two characters, or those performances to me that really kept me engaged. Number one, I mentioned Sofia Boutella. I think that she is just, she's fantastic, man. Every time I see her, I just feel like she's just right there to just blow up. But for some reason, man, I don't know if it's her or if it's just like she's just doing what she wants to do and really doesn't push the envelope to, you know, be more in the forefront. But, you know, Kingsman and Star Trek and the film Climax, and just I can go on about just Atomic Blonde. She's just so great, and she's really solid in this film. Like, she doesn't literally have much to say in the first half of this movie. Dives into her imprisonment, her being the granddaughter of the governor, and her just being trapped and not being able to be free. I thought that her performances was really solid, and especially when we get to the third act, which involves a little bit more action, she was fantastic. But I have to say, her governor, her grandfather, her adopted grandfather, played by Bill Moseley, who's an icon within himself and plays definitely into the campiness of all the films he's been in, especially this one. He was great, man. He said some of the funniest stuff. He had some of the funniest lines. Him and Nick Cage were going bar for bar as far as in the joke department. Unintentional jokes, by the way, which we'll talk about that in my criticism. But I thought he was great. The Psycho, played by Nick Cassavetes, he was a very interesting character. There's a movie that's just literally just popped in my head that I saw when I was a kid. I can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna put it on the screen now if I can remember it. But he played a character that was like a jock, and it was Charlie Sheen, and it was like a car that had like these powers, and it was just a weird, wacky film. And he channels that energy and puts it in this role as a psycho who is just literally a psycho in this film. So I gotta say, man, regardless of what I'm going to say here in a couple seconds in my criticisms, the actors did the best they could. Now, get into my criticism with this movie. I am one that appreciates craziness, wackiness, weirdness. You don't even have to really be like a straight up great story for me to be entertained. I was entertained at points, but I could not ignore this terrible, incomprehensible story. This story to me, which again, it sounds pretty straightforward. A guy's given a task to save a young girl and seeing everything in between that. But it is very, very slow paced, and just there are scenes, chunks of scenes that just did not have to be in this movie. This movie clocks in about an hour and 40 minutes. I literally thought you could have probably chopped off about 25 minutes of this film, from the dance sequences to the interaction of Nick Cage hero meeting the governor, and just like that whole situation going on just didn't really make that much sense to me. And just the entire film doesn't really make sense to me. The Ghostland and the origins and the lack of origin and this completely unnecessary 20-minute exposition of how Nick Cage became the hero before the hero, and his relationship with the psycho, and a robbery that takes place which just felt completely misplaced in the film. And there's a lot of moments in this movie where it's just like, why do we need that? Who the hell is the Rat Man? How did we get to this point in the film? Again, I can appreciate wackiness. I think of Mandy, which, by the way, is not a bad script at all. I really enjoyed the story of Mandy, but you can even mute that movie, and visually, it takes you on this journey. In this film, I know the director, who I've never seen his work before, but from my research, he's a very renowned, really proclaimed type of director who has a visual style, and that style to me was kind of lacking. I didn't find anything visually impressive about the film. It felt very muted at points, and just the costuming, again, the pacing, the direction was really a lacking point for me. I know, and I don't mean to speak ill of his director, because I know he comes with a lot of cliche and people love his style, but I wasn't a fan of the style, and I really wasn't a fan of the script and just the unnecessariness of this story, which made no sense and went absolutely nowhere. I will applaud the third act because at least there's action, but up until that point, man, this film was a slog fest for me personally, and it took me multiple times to say, let's just shoot through it. You love Nick Cage, maybe he's gonna do this, and he gets wacky. Listen, Nick Cage gets wacky in this film, but it's just boggled down by this really uninteresting story. So before I give you my overall thoughts and let you know if it's worth checking out, before we do that, make sure to like, share, comment your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell, that way you don't miss any of my other content. Listen, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Prisoners of the Ghostland was Nick Cage doing his Nick Cage thing. Sofia Boutella is always fantastic, and the supporting cast did the best they could. I can't blame the actors. Unfortunately, the story was just not for me. This film was just not for me, and I'm someone that likes unique and bonkers, batshit crazy stories, but it's a story, man, that just was just very boring, uninteresting, and I found myself to be very kind of disappointed because I was expecting some really crazy visuals and fights and just wackiness, and it tried to do that, but it just didn't stick the landing for me. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this film, Prisoners of the Ghostland, a 2 out of 5, and take that score as you will, take my review as you will. It will be available in theaters this Friday as well as on VOD. If it was me, I don't want to tell you how to spend your time or money, but if you must see this film because you have to see every Nick Cage film and you want to do the trifecta like I did, maybe watch it on VOD, but I don't think this is a theater-worthy type of film. That's just my opinion. I will say, as far as films this year, as far as rankings, Pig is a fantastic film. I won't be surprised if Pig ends up on one of my favorite films this year, but that performance, that movie is way more superior. No disrespect to these next two films, but I go Pig, Wally, and then this film. This was not for me. But that's just my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought of this film once you got a chance to check it out. What were your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the story, the allegories, the themes, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts? Let's talk about it. And also, let me know your favorite Nicolas Cage film in the comments below. If you stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate you all. Make sure before you leave to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell. That way you don't miss any of my other content. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. We'll see you in the next video.